Go too deep into social structures in South America, we first have to recall the harm from our last video or slide deck. In last on our last slide deck, we included a video of some of the instances of fellow citizens and how they feel about their current living stature in South American countries, but we've narrowed them down to 4 different instances and 4 different quotes. The quotes being, "Fun, there's no fun here. You can go and look for some sticks and for firewood. That's the kind of fun that people who live here have." Or, "Due to the current insecurity, you have to lock yourselves inside the house. We have to go to bed around 4 or 5 p.m. Only God protects us here. Life is hard. You do not sleep at all. And the cycle never ends. If you live in poverty, you don't get old because of the passing of time, but rather because of the hardships of the life you experience. People here only go to the hospital when there's an emergency, not for aches and pains. If someone gets hurt, sometimes they don't even have money to get a bus to the clinic." And we are recapping these harms because the societal structures people live in are things that are outside their domain. Many things like fun, insecurity, poverty, and hospitalization and healthcare are things that should be supplied by the government, not things that should be further limiting their capabilities and how they live their lives and fulfill their lives. Deep into describing how social structures affect South American countries, we first have to define what social structures are according to Eastwood, a philosopher who studies social structures and how interknitted they all can be. Relationships are the connection between individuals or groups, while rules are the formal or informal groups like laws, norms, or customs that govern behavior within a society or group. And finally, representation is how individuals or groups express themselves and have their voices heard or are included in the decision-making process within society, all according to Eastwood. Many South American economies have become dependent on the United States dollar due to trade agreements and debt obligations, creating a relationship between the government of South American government and the United States government. This dependency leaves their financial autonomy tied to decisions made outside their very own government, perpetuating decisions that ultimately affect the relationship between both South American countries and North American decisions. Some examples of this include trade deals like CAFTA-DR, which are designed to promote economic growth and have primarily developed multinational corporations, but at, at the other hand have left local businesses struggling. For example, some farmers and local manufacturers struggle to compete with the much cheaper mass-produced United States goods, resulting in a pushing down of wages and job losses among citizens. As Gordon Connell Smith explains later in his paper, through through analysis of different time periods and of different markets, United States policies have historically been driven by their interests rather than philanthropical ones used to promote and help the societal structures of the South American countries. As a result, economic imbalances limit the overall social structures, pushing down opportunities and pushing down further um, pushing inequality further down. Some examples of these are in fair wages, education, and healthcare to citizens all across South American countries. And finally, with these depressed wages and limited access to resources, citizens cannot afford basic services or make decisions about their overall working condition or living status, overall restricting people's ability to live flourishing lives, all because of the social structures forced on them by the decisions of government officials in South American countries that are later influenced by American officials and treaties. To fully understand the human impact that U.S. policies have had, we need to look beyond just governments and economies. The real question is, who is being affected the most? The answer is the everyday people of these nations. By enacting policies, the United States has been able to shape trade agreements, push its democratic ideals, and fund security measures in South American countries. In doing so, it has directly influenced the capabilities, opportunities, and freedoms of their citizens. As we move forward, we will dive into a few main subcategories: economic dependency, political intervention, security policies, and social impacts. Security policies will then be broken down further into the Red Scare and other democratic interventions. We will explore the social impact, specifically on how these policies have affected the culture and identity of these nations. But before we go any deeper, we need to take a step back and ask who exactly is being affected the most.